Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Malego. I'm a faculty member in the SEAL department in the College of Ed here at SRU. In this video, in the series of videos, I'm going to break down the SLO project into small steps that you can access as you need as you go through the process of doing your SLO project. So this first video is going to be what is the SLO project and just a general overview. So let's get started. The SLO project is something that's very similar to what in-service teachers do as part of their teacher evaluation. Several years ago, they actually did an SLO project that looked very much like what we are using here at SRU. In fact, our SLO project for student teachers is modeled after the SLO project that teachers were doing. Their project has changed a little bit more recently, but it's still similar. The goal here is to show that you know how to plan, teach, assess, and analyze the data. In short, you want to make sure that you show that you know how to figure out what to teach, how to teach it, and how to know if you were successful or not. The second part of the goals is reflecting on your SLO project or reflecting on your teaching in general through the Danielson framework. So looking at planning and preparation, looking at the classroom environment or the learning environment, looking at your instruction, looking at your professional responsibilities and how you're doing in those areas. That is part of the SLO project. There are different people involved in the student teaching triad. So you are part of the triad. And in the SLO project, your job is to plan, lead, and reflect on your instruction. You're going to do that with the support of your cooperating teacher. You're doing your teaching in their classroom, so ultimately they are the ones that have to answer for whether or not the right things are being taught, in accordance with the curriculum for the students that are in their class. So they're going to support you and let you know what you can and cannot do in their classroom. The other part of the triad is your university supervisor. They're going to support you along the way. They're the ones who are going to complete the assessment of your SLO project. So it's very important to loop your university supervisor in early as you're working on your project. That way they can help you troubleshoot whether you're meeting all the requirements that you're going to need to have to be able to pass the project, which we're going to go over in this series of videos. There are a number of resources that are available to help you with doing your SLO project. So I want to show you where those are now. And some important things that you're going to look for in there are the SLO project guidelines. There are sample model SLO projects, and there is a template that you can use in there. So let's take a look at those resources. I'm recording this in Fall 26, so that's why this says Fall 26 Student Teaching Resource Site. If you're watching it in a different semester, just know it's going to have the semester name that you are actually in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under Content. So I can click here on SLO project information if it's not already open on D2L for you, and I can see the resources that are available. The first one that we're going to look at are the SLO project guidelines. And so when we click on that, here we are in the guidelines for the SLO project. It's possible that when you watch these, it's going to say V something different, but right now it's V 9.0. It's extremely important that you read through this entire document, that you download it and you read through it. The videos I'm creating for you today are going to walk through parts of it, but you also want to take time, because this is a very important assessment, you want to take time to read through the whole thing yourself. So here at the back of the packet, we see the rubric that's going to be used by the university supervisor to assess the SLO project. You'll notice here that distinguished is grayed out. The reason for that is that we use the rubric that is used for in-service teachers. And there are things that in-service teachers have access to: time, resources, knowledge of students, different aspects of teaching that really are not logical for us student teachers to have access to. Distinguished on this form is what an in-service teacher would get distinguished for on their assessment if they were doing a distinguished job. So we believe that it is out of the range of student teachers to realistically even strive for distinguished. So just look there as to something that you might do someday as a teacher, but relax, you're not going to have scores in that spot. Instead, your scores are going to be proficient, basic, or unsatisfactory. A really strong SLO project is going to be mostly proficients with maybe one or two basics that happen in there. We all have room to grow, right? And some of these are harder to achieve even proficient in than others. If you receive any unsatisfactories, you're going to have to redo that section of the SLO project in order to pass it. So you need to get everything in the basic or proficient columns here to be creating a satisfactory SLO project to finish for student teaching. When we go back to the SLO project guidelines in template submodule, we're going to find here also a template for SLO submission. When you see that template, what you're going to do is actually download the template if you'd like to use it. And it's going to walk through the information that you need to include to submit. You're not required to use this template, but it's created for you to help you have some sort of framework for gathering the information that you need. And if you follow the template and you read the instructions that are there, it's actually going to guide you in submitting everything that you need to submit. So when you download the template, when you're typing in these boxes, they are able to be expanded. What you'll do is you'll click in the corner and just drag them, and it will move everything down, and then you can type more text in there. You can also just delete the boxes if you prefer to type without boxes, and that will be fine as well. So you'll have everything here that you submit, and I will be explaining those in separate videos, but that is the template that you can use. So here we have the sample model SLO projects. These are great to look at for ideas and models. Note that they're not all perfect, and some of them might use slightly different formats or approaches because we have modified the SLO project over the past years since we've been doing it. So they might be slightly different, but they're great for looking at to get some inspiration. How did this person create their project? What did they use as a pre-assessment, a post-assessment? How did they do the reflection? Things like that. I want to also share some tips with you. First of all, avoid making the SLO project bigger than it needs to be. All you're doing is showing that you understand how to do good teaching. This is what teachers do all the time, every day. What do my students know? What do I need to teach them? How am I going to teach it? How am I going to assess it and see if they learned? And I'm going to reflect on it, and I'm going to see what I'm going to do next time. We talk about closing that loop. That's what we're doing all the time. You are just documenting this in more detail for us so that we, as the university, we can see that you understand how to plan teaching. This is how you prove it to us because we can't see what's going on inside your brain. I also recommend that you start early, because if you are in an 8-week placement and you don't start until maybe the 3rd week or 4th week, and you're in a discipline where maybe you only see the students once a week, it's going to be very hard to finish your project and get everything done before you move on to your next placement. I also recommend that you do your SLO project in your first placement if possible, because all sorts of things can happen during the second placement, and it's just better to have this done. Next, make sure, as I said earlier, that you fully review the instructions on D2L, the whole packet. Make sure you take time to really read through that. I recommend that you get together with another student teacher. Maybe you go out for coffee, you read it together, you talk about what you see, what ideas you have, and make sure that you are kind of helping each other get all of the information. Your cooperating teacher can access the instructions in the Student Teaching Handbook, which is on the School Partners website. So if they're asking, like, where do I see it? How can I see it? They can't go on D2L because they're not students or faculty at SRU, but there is a separate place that they can go, and they receive that information from the College of Ed already. There's also an overview video for the cooperating teachers that they can access. And finally, if you have questions after you've read through all of the resources, you've watched all the help videos, you should ask your university supervisor as the next person to ask, and they will be able to reach out to someone else if more information is needed. So that's all for the first video. When you're ready, dive into the next one. Thanks for watching.